You do not need to worry about market crashes. And I just wanted to start off by saying this isn't financial advice, but it's for education to make you realize that investments really are worth it. And it's really any way I could provide education to people is amazing. And, you know, having a financial plan is one of the best ways to really protect yourself from market crashes. Like, you can make investments your whole life, and, if you have a bunch of money saved up and you say you want to buy a house, but you have all that money in the stock market, and the year that you wanted to buy that house, market crashes and now you don't have enough to buy it. You would never want something like that to happen. And same thing for retirement. Like, just imagine it's your year of retirement and the market crashes. Where are you going to pull that money out from? Because if you pull it out from your investments, they're worth much less than they would have. And so you're pulling from such a high amount of future value by pulling when it's worth less. And how do you protect yourself against that? Because there's a lot of people are saying, all these different things, like, have a lot of bonds, maybe take lower risk, target date funds. And to be honest, it completely depends on the person, but as sort of the general education of why the investments and how to protect yourself. I mean, one of the biggest ones that even hedge funds use as benchmarks is the 60-40 rule. So 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Well, equities and stocks. So like ETFs too. And yeah, so the best way to explain it is that the market constantly goes like this and fluctuates, crashes, then it goes up. But you want to have the same withdrawal rate or the same amount that you want to pull money out for your larger investments. And the way you want to do this to also have the 60% stocks, they constantly fluctuate, but you have the bonds that just slowly appreciate. And those two amounts of risk, the bouncing and the slightly going up, well, bouncing going up too from the stocks, is to average your money out. And not only that, because pulling the money out in market crash, unless you have bonds that still appreciate, and to pull from the bonds, then you'd be out of luck. So you want to minimize your reliance on luck by having some form of stable bond that slowly appreciates above inflation, that really minimizes your risk in so many ways. That is the most important thing for you to understand, is that you want to have a large amount of equities, but you also want to have a portion of bonds that can help pay for 1 to 2 years while still appreciating in case of a market downturn, so that you don't have to pull from your investments that make them worth when they're worth less, because you're taking away from such a high future value. So, I mean, all these financial advisors, the really good ones, they'll tell you want to have a good amount of bonds in there that slowly appreciate, so that you can withdraw in a market downturn, because the bonds won't lose a ton of value. Actually, they'll gain value in market crash, because you'll have all these large investors now buying bonds as a stable source of income in a market downturn. It's more for people panicking in large funds that, but it's minimizing your risk in so many ways that the best financial advisors say have some bonds. And you want to have a lot of stocks. Like, I mean, not stocks, but like equities. You want a large portion of portfolio. Like, an educational example would be, 80%, so a large amount, and then just a little bit more in bonds. And so, in case this value got squeezed in a market downturn, this is still going to be the same amount in bonds. So you can start pulling from that. And while you start pulling from that, the market starts coming back. Actually appreciates more, because after every correction, the market always comes out at all-time highs. And that's because there's now more investment into the market, and specifically into companies that allow them to grow more in value. That, like, the market keeps fluctuating, but if you have those bonds that stay still and also slowly appreciate, because the bonds are essentially loans. You loan out the money, and you have an expected return that comes back. They could pay a little bit more, a little bit less, but the point is that you want to have some room where if something happens, like, and the market crashes and you still need some money, the best thing financial advisors give as information, especially as general information. Now, it's a lot specific to people. Like, it depends entirely on the person, how many people in the family, how, your expenses, depends where you are. All these different variables. But the most important thing that financial advisors should really be giving you is how to manage that risk, because stuff always happens. And not just that, but I mean, there's a you want the financial advisor to be a fiduciary, and sometimes they make mistakes, but like, I really think it's important just to have one or somebody that helps you manage the finances, because that probably that fee is so much worth it, instead of having all that stress, all of these different things going on that you need to focus on with finances, on top of your job and all these other things, where you could, for a fractional cost that it would have cost you losing all that money and risk, to instead have somebody else help you manage that, and maybe also protect it. Like, a lot of people recommend insurance because what if something happens, you lose a ton. Well, insurance bridges that gap, and that's why it's good. But also, you know having investments on the side, I mean, you can't go wrong, and managing that investment risk with all these other things is why you need somebody else to help you out. I mean, just the time investment, if you want to do it by yourself, you can go ahead, but I think it's much more worth it for your own time to have somebody else take care of it for you. And not just that, but for a cost that would be cheaper than you taking on yourself and making mistakes that are very costly. Especially with, having money in savings account and stuff, and you're losing a ton of money to inflation. All these other technical things, you could just hand it off to somebody else, which I think is crazy. That's the career I'm going into, to help people and, take over really all that stress and all that stuff, and just make it easy. And really, for the financial advisors and financial planners, it's kind of just really up to marketing yourself, because they're all good. Like, the whole intention is to make you money, and it's like, the I forgot the person who named the quote, but like, everybody has the goods, they just don't know who you are. And I gotta work on that too, making these videos help people and just be straight up honest. I don't need to pull up all these spreadsheets and stuff. Just gotta talk my mouth straight there, and to just be straight up and blunt, because there's all these influencers saying all these crazy things, but when you put that into practice, it doesn't work. I mean, no. And that's why it's important to have somebody who does it as a career, or is starting, like, me. And also just to have people commenting and like reaching out to me on LinkedIn, different things, saying like, what they want to know about finances and stuff, because I think it's important to also get feedback too, because I mean, I've seen statistics that like many people don't know about finances the right way, and there are people that have it as a career that do, and also do it really well, and have a fiduciary responsibility to help you too. And it's, I mean, just for me to educate people with these videos, I mean, I wish there were more people doing it the right way. Like, there's all these gurus. I mean, you name it, how many gurus there are. So many gurus that they're telling you all these things. Put it in mutual funds, all these different things. But is that right for you? Do you have somebody making that plan? When you gotta take the money out, all these different things. Does the person selling you the mutual fund tell you about front load fees and all these fees, management fees and all this stuff? Holy crap. Better to just have somebody manage it for you for a much less of a fee than, just putting all these mutual funds, all these things, and also risking not knowing what you could have done instead, which is why this kind of stuff is important. And we'll be making more of these to help educate people. And it doesn't matter if I have a business suit on or not, it's to help you. And I mean, I chose to do this as a career to help people too. I mean, as of me making this video, it's my first day, to be honest, and really it's been mostly training, and I'm taking the time to really educate and help people at the same time. And I mean, even me just starting this, already making videos, just talking, straight up to you, already puts me in like the top 1.1% of people who are willing to actually do it. I mean, it's crazy. If you start teaching yourself about statistics on investments and all these things, you see the world entirely differently. And I just want to show people how I see the world like that. And just to be straight up honest with you. And I got you. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting in the Chicagoland area. I'm not going to get into too many details because there's a lot of different nuances and things I don't want to be incorrect about. But, definitely if anyone on LinkedIn or whatever or in the Chicago area, just, say what's up on LinkedIn or on anywhere pretty much. But, my whole goal is to help people. That I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to help. And I'm also learning along the way too, but I get the chance to work with experienced professionals at the same time. And that's a beauty in and of itself, because it's the funny thing that I kept saying today. It's that, yeah, you could call me up when you're in retirement and I'll still be there. And I'll still be doing it very well. And even better. Because for me, at my young age, knowledge is compounding like crazy. And if I could provide some of that knowledge to somebody to make better investments, I'll probably dish out more value than I'll ever get back. But, make the world a better place instead of all this other crazy stuff of, and people bending the truth of like all these things. I think really, if your financial planning stuff isn't simple and you need like a ton of people to figure out the plan and all this stuff, you're in the wrong spot. It needs to be simple, because really, to have it simple, it saves you a lot in managing risk, but also you know what to do because it's simple and you don't have to go jump through all these hoops and different things. And I'm going to keep making videos explaining different things that I'm learning along the way in the financial advisor journey. I don't know if I'll do it forever, but even just being on it teaches stuff too. I'm just trying to educate, not give advice and stuff, because you gotta be really careful with this advice stuff, especially with gurus saying that they could give you all this advice and stuff, and then it turns out it's complete bogus. And really, it's better to educate and show what's out there instead of telling what to do. It's like my experience versus what to do, Like, I started learning about investments the hard way. To add a little bit to the video, I kind of just want to explain, like, I started investments when I was a kid, so it's like 5 years ago or something like that. So I really started learning about investments, and then started actually putting money in. At first, I thought it was, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you start making money at first, you think you're on top of the world, and then you lose a bunch of it, and then you quit. Well, I never freaking quit, and it's paying off like crazy. And now, turning it into a career instead of just doing it for fun makes wonders. Not only that, but, to help people do that, especially since most people have no idea. And by most people, I mean, like in America, the financial education is in the freaking gutter. It is, and it's terrible. And yeah, I'm gonna keep making these videos, be straight up with you. I try to keep them around 10-15 minutes. Don't want to waste too much time, but I want to take the time to be honest instead of just quick and concise, not giving you an actual reason. Like, just, oh, invest in this and invest in that. This is good for this, and that's it. No, it's not like that. It needs to be simplified, but also explained. Not like these gurus saying, "Oh, it's just that simple. It's all this." Could be till you take the risk and you find out that yeah, hell no, and no, but yeah, I mean financial planning. It's one of those things, and I'm managing my mom's retirement account, and I made her a load of money just by changing from the company target dates and company bonds to other things in the market, and then a share of bonds so that in case the market crashes when she retires, to have money, like a lot, just because of making that plan. Whereas if it was just in those stupid target date funds, by default making like barely over inflation, like it would be better to put it and extra load that amount into insurance instead. You'll be making a higher return rate than the target date funds. But yeah, and I'll talk more about the kind of stuff for retirement, because just saving for that kind of stuff is so important. Investments are important. Also, find somebody to help you. I I'm in the Chicagoland area, so in Illinois, United States, helping people like that through planning. But it's also just good to find somebody near you to do that stuff, because you also gotta trust people with your money. And if a guru or somebody on the internet's telling you all this stuff, but doesn't tell you the actual like reality, their profit and loss, like for those crazy traders and stuff, it's too much. You gotta find somebody to trust the money. Sometimes the person that trusts the biggest amount of money is just a random guy on the street with a suit, because he's been grinding his ass off, trying to do stuff, learn from mistakes now. That's what I'm trying to be. Not there yet. I still got a lot of mistakes to make, but I'd rather share the things that I already knew and figured out since I was young. And might as well make it better.